Hey, Billy Lane here, Sturgis 2022 at the Buffalo Chip Campground. I'm here with Kyle and Cody Ives, the Ives brothers, Wall of Death. You know, I've met these guys, I don't know how many years ago once I met you guys.
Man, forever ago. We were over 15 years ago. Yeah. I mean, it's been a minute. We were talking about it earlier. Do you remember the $1 Million Biker Build-Off in Charleston?
Yes.
Was it Charleston, South Carolina?
Yeah.
We were talking about that earlier, me and Andy were. It's been a while.
It seems like a lifetime ago. And if I looked at a picture of myself with you guys back then, it would seem like a different person than a different.
I don't think anybody in the picture would be noticeable. You know, we were kids. We could be like 9 years, 10 years old, but yeah, it's been a long time.
And so you guys grew up a different way than I did. My parents said no long hair, no tattoos, and no motorcycles. They were scared to death of them. And you guys grew up where your parents encouraged it.
Yeah, so our parents always were like, they always wanted us to be presentable, and they always wanted us to, you know, be professional in a way, because we were always entertaining, we were always doing shows, and we were always meeting important people, you know, so I remember that being a compliment to my parents for as long as I can remember, of people coming up and just saying, man, your kids are just something else, you know, like on a whole other level, so respectable, well-mannered, and that was something that, like, I feel like always came natural to Cody and I. We never really had to, you know, be disciplined to act that manner or anything like that. It was just, we always felt like professionals or whatever, so we needed to present ourselves as that, and, you know, ever since we were kids, we've always kind of carried that on our shoulder and, you know, treated people as equal and, you know, like,
try to keep those family morals.
And we naturally just never got covered in tattoos or grew our hair or anything, or Cody's got his back done, that's tattooed, but we never.
My dad was in the entertainment business for over 20 years before we even started. So I think us growing up watching him and stuff like that, it was being an entertainer. It's more than, you know, just riding the motorcycles because you're putting on a show. So you want to have that kind of be able to present yourself in a proper manner, so it looks good, so that people want to bring their kids to your show and have a good time as well if they come out when they're adults and we're on a bike bar. You know, also keep that same show. Also, it was always bigger than just the motorcycle industry for my family as well. We always, you know, we don't have a limit of, you know, perception of where we're going to go or what we're going to do, and so we kind of always tried to be prepared, but we just always loved being at the motorcycle rallies and in the motorcycle culture the most, so that's why, you know, over the years, that's where we generally have been, you know, and it's just, this has kind of always been our family away from family, and, you know, we just love to be here and doing events like Sturgis and Daytona and Laconia and all these big motorcycle rallies, Born Free, and it's always been our choice of lifestyle, if you will.
I mean, that to me is amazing, because I remember when I met you guys, you know, I was in my 30s, I guess, my early 30s, and I was like kind of jealous. I was like, man, look at these guys, their dad is like out here, you know, getting them to do this. When he was in the entertainment business, how did he get from what he was doing in entertainment to motorcycles and
So my dad, he started off in the circus industry, because we're all from Sarasota, Florida, which is home of Ringling Brothers. And he started walking high wire. He was one of the 7-man pyramid, the front lead man. After the family fell, they came back and did a big memorial walk for them, and he got to be fortunate enough to be the front lead man for that. He rode horses, and then one of the family members from traveling with that circus had a steel ball in the backyard. And you know, growing up in the South, everyone rides dirt bikes. He just transitioned to the riding in the ball, and that went to from circuses to him retiring, and then but kept the ball in the backyard for just to have fun. And Kyle and I get home from public school, 3rd, 4th grade, and we hurry up, get in there with all of our cousins and friends and ride the ball, and then get out thinking parents are going to yell at us. So they came home from work one day and bought us dirt bikes, and then it kind of turned into us just playing in the backyard, having fun, doing something that he loved, to we were actually good enough to be able to go out and go do shows and
time, and then we're like, oh wow, we can be good at this too, and that's kind of how we've just lived our whole life, you know, with every experience that we've had with racing Harleys, and it was always just an opportunity that we just refused to say no to, and we just always took it.
And growing up, my dad was always big on follow your dreams. Yeah. If you got a vision for something, do it, make it work. Don't waste your time. Yeah. And growing up, also in this, when we met Indian Larry, his last Sturgis, told Kyle and I, he's like, you know, don't ever feel like you're not doing good enough, or feel like you're failing. You're always learning. Just always do what you love, and one day the money will arrive. Yeah. And that's something that stuck with us too. Yeah. Still live by that to this day, and fortunate enough that we're getting to do what we love, and we can still travel and do this.
And Indian Larry loved the Wall of Death. He loved antique motorcycles and board track stuff. You know, he was in Florida one time for Bike Week. He needed a part for one of his panheads, and I took him to the storage warehouse I had. And a lot of people don't know, but I was buying, you know, 100-year-old motorcycles and parts way back when nobody cared. And I had a whole warehouse full of them. And he walked in and he saw this and he was like, "What is this?" And I was talking to him about it and explaining it. And he loved the mechanical element of, you know, the intake over exhaust engines and exposed push rods and everything, and exposed rocker arms. And he's like, "Man, wouldn't it be cool to start racing things like they did, like on the board tracks?" And you know, the first Wall of Death, I know you guys know this, they were still racing board track bikes on them, because this was the next, this is how they took this.
Yeah, this is a part of evolution of board track racing.
And a lot of people don't know that, and he was so into it. And I've been in the wall with him a bunch of times. Stuck a needle in his arm and just boosted him. You know, he was like, "Ah!" So the wall, how did you guys come into the wall? Because, you know, there's not a whole lot of these around the country. I mean, there's only a few left in the country.
So we just back in 2000, man, I want to say like 2010, we Indians started to come back, you know, and then my dad, being the showman and being you know, the marketing guru, if you will, he was just like, he noticed that everybody rode Indian to the wall.
Yeah.
And he was like, basically these guys are coming to a Harley dealership or a Harley venue, you know,
right.
And basically be like, "Hey, welcome to, you know, such and such Harley Davidson, check out our Indian," you know. And my dad was just like, if we marketed an all Harley Davidson Wall of Death, he was like, man, we would probably really take off with you know, booking Harley dealerships and working with corporate Harley. Corporate Harley also had a hand in it as well. They, you know, they were excited about the opportunity to have a Harley Davidson Wall of Death, and especially with Indian coming back into business.
And at the time, there was only American Motor Drum traveling. California Hellriders were retiring, and they were only going to do Daytona Bike Week from now on. There wasn't really any other walls out there just yet, so California Hellriders was a big help in us starting up as well, because once we got the wall going and we got a show packed down and was able to go out and do our first show, and then retiring, they gave us all of their contracts to cover that they didn't want to do or couldn't do or anything like that, like, you know, having kids and a normal life back home now.
Right.
But they really supported us. They really, you know, they had the confidence in us that we were good enough to represent them and in a professional manner as well. And
yeah, they all kind of came around and helped us out.
Absolutely.
And gave it, anytime we ever had questions for it or couldn't figure something out, we could always pick up a phone call and call either one of them, and they would help out. And this bike that I ride every single show came Charlie and Wally from American Motor Drum. Came and stayed at the house and worked on the transmission and worked on the inners of this motor to make it dialed in for me to ride every single show. So it was cool that, you know, they came together as a community to be able to, like, come together as a family.
We were helped out with a lot of knowledge from the old timers.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Which is a cool thing about being the young guys that grew up in the sport, because we get to hang out with all the old timers and learn all the tricks.
I'm really glad that you guys are still doing this, because like you said, I mean, pretty much everybody else, well, not pretty much. It's good to see younger people still doing it. It kind of got to be where the old guys doing it for a while.
Well, so there's an emotion there that's like everybody that was doing it when we met is no longer doing it.
Right.
You know, a couple of them are. You know, Wally, he still travels and does shows and stuff. I believe Charlie has retired, but still, Charlie can ride the shit out of a motorcycle.
Oh, yeah.
He still does shows every once in a while, but as far as like a fully consistent every weekend, performer, they're all like slowly retiring or just changing up their lifestyle as well, and so it's cool to be able to kind of hold that torch for them and keep it all going.
So tell me about both of you, each of you, about your scariest moment on a wall, or and you probably don't have a lot of fear doing this, but you're that moment where you're like, oh shit, I gotta deal with this situation, a mechanical issue, or somebody hanging over the rail too far.
In here, you're right. You're kind of having the fear of it. You got to put that on the back burner because it's just.
Well, our dad would never let us be scared either.
Yeah.
If we looked scared or if we looked uncomfortable, he would just be like, "Do it 100 more times," because that was the way he was taught in the circus, and so.
Going into it with like the concept or the mindset, I would say that you're gonna crash. Chances are you're gonna crash. You're already thinking about it.
Yep.
So we try to go into it with the mindset of that's not an option. I got shows after this. So we go up there, we have a good ride. We still make it fun for both of us because if we're not having fun, the show's not as good as it once was. So we'll go up there, have a good time, and then crashes do happen. Crash, I blew a tire out on this corner. Went up to the cable like I was going to ride out of the wall, and I pulled the bike down in and just rode the bike down all the way down to the bottom. Took a head digger, but it happened.
Yeah.
It's part of the industry. I think the times that we've ever gotten the shit scared out of us crashing was always when we were free riding and having fun way up the mountains. We honestly were like, I'm going to take it easy today, nothing's going to happen. And those are the ones that are like, where am I? Yeah. But in here, it's kind of, it's going to happen. The steel ball, it's going to happen. Jumping motorcycles, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah.
You just can't really have that fear of it.
Well, this thing with Sons of Speed, I've wrecked on the Sons of Speed track. 3 times at speed, and I don't have a fear of it either. I've been in 6 street accidents on a full-size heavyweight Harley, so I really don't have a fear of it either. But I know most people, when they watch it, they're like, but you just know if you ride. I've been riding Harleys 35 years and bikes since I was a kid. If you ride that long, you're gonna hit something or put
Eventually it's gonna happen.
Yeah. So I was up here yesterday watching your show, and there was a woman who had never been in the wall and never seen it before.
Yeah.
And I was like, "You have never seen it?" She said, "No." And we met during the week, quite a few people. I'm like, "Go over and watch those guys ride." But I was standing next to her, I was watching her face, man, and I was like, that's got to be what drives you guys, is looking up and seeing the people, right? And like seeing their faces. And
we always try to invite friends down to come stand in the middle to watch a show from our perspective, because it's a completely different experience. It's you get to see a Wall of Death show when you're up top, but you get to experience an emotion when you're down here, just watching people's facial expressions and
feeling
and
the energy and cheering for you.
Kids freaking out because they don't know what they're seeing, like how it's working. And actually, a girl that works with us, she was just showing me a video of the last show. It's this lady holding a $20 bill out, and her mouth is just wide open the whole time. As soon as I take the bill, she's like freaking out, and then I throw her a shirt, and then she catches the shirt, and she's like, "Oh my God, what just happened?" And that's a really cool experience for us to know that we can, make people feel that way and give them a memory that they're going to last for a lifetime. And that's something we also get very, very often is, older people come up to us and they're like, they tell us their story of when they went and seen a Wall of Death when they were a child, with their grandfather, their father, or someone,
seen a couple hundred Wall of Death shows over the years for sure. I've seen, you know, some of the ones that aren't even in business anymore, and I've seen everybody ride Samantha real well. And you know, and I never get tired of seeing it. I've been riding my entire adult life. I never get tired of seeing it. I get the same friggin' thrill every time I walk in, and I always make sure I grab somebody that's never seen it and say, "Come, let's go watch it." And I get so much, as much fun watching them watch as I do watching you guys ride it. It's like, I don't know what it is about it. It's like the coolest thing. I brought my kids. I've seen it a couple of times now. They're still small, but you know, their oldest is 6, the youngest is 3. And they've seen it a couple of times, and they're like, "Daddy, oh my!" I mean, they're just blown away by, you know, watching what you do. And I want to bring them to one of your shows soon, so I can see you guys and meet you guys. But I want to thank you for the entertainment, for keeping it alive. And I don't think a lot of people know the history of it and what goes into it. And and there's a lot just in setting it up. You know, everywhere you go, there's so much time in traveling and tearing out and setup. And it's a real. I'm sure it's a real grind. But at the same time, you guys don't show that at all. When you get on the wall, man, it's just like so much energy and positivity, and really, really enjoyable to watch.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. I'd love to have you guys, and I know I've messaged you before years ago, but you got to come to Sons of Speed sometime and ride the bikes on the track. I think you really enjoy that. It's not flat track, you know, the way we're doing on the bank track, it's really, really fast, and you come out there, man, and it's just probably a much safer version of this, but it's, you know, it's faster too, of course, because you're on a bigger track. But I'd love to have you come sometime and ride the bikes. And
yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. We love the older bikes. Yeah. Kyle's got flatheads. We got the old SXs and single cylinder 2-stroke.
That was just the thing. We never had cool enough bikes, man.
Yeah. Well, I invite everybody. Anybody I know who's the real deal, which you guys certainly are, and knows how to ride, which you guys can ride better than I can. You know, come ride one of my bikes on the track, and that's how we've sucked. We have 60 people racing, and that's how we got them in. It's one at a time. Hey man, come ride a bike on the track and experience it. And everybody wants to go on. You know, the funny thing about the Harley 45 is, you know, a lot of people don't know this, and you guys probably do, but you know, board track racing was replaced briefly by Speedway, and Speedway was just so fast and so expensive. They canned that, and they said, well, let's make them race 45 V-twins because they're heavy and slow. And then Tom Sifton came along. You know, the Indian Scouts were fast, but then Tom Sifton came along, figured out how to make the Harley Davidsons really fast, and then it became just as fast as the Speedway bikes and the flat tracks. And so it's funny because it's such a big, heavy, bulky, over-engineered machine that Harley Davidson was making, and then, you know, now we've been racing them ever since the 30s. But I know up on these walls, I've seen 45 on one of the other walls before, and like the whole wall is moving. I mean, it's like moving like crazy when it goes around. You can notice the difference right away from on top. But I really enjoyed you guys showing you guys put on a great show, and I hadn't seen you ride the wall before. I'd only seen you the ball years ago. So it was so cool to watch you guys and see how you evolved. And you guys are, I mean, you can tell you come from a traveling circus entertainment show family. I mean, you guys are really do a great job, and you know, I look forward to watching you guys ride for a long time in the future, and I hope you guys come to Sons of Speed at some point and just get on a bike and have some fun.
We'll be there, man. The next race, we're gonna be there.
Okay, cool. Well, hey man, thank you so much for your time,
Kyle.
Thank you so much, brother. Yeah, man, you guys are great, and your dad's amazing, man. Your mom's amazing, and it's so cool after all these years to be sitting here talking to you guys.
Well, we really love, you know, what you're doing as well, and we love to see that you're still out here, still doing all of it, all the great things that you're doing for this community and stuff. You know, man, your new motorcycles and cool hand bikes are something really special and unique for, I think, you know, this industry, and I really hope that takes off and does really well for you. And it's just really cool to see you still doing a lot of really badass shit too. So
thank you. You know, before we end, I want to talk about that for a second. So, like, I have 3 young kids. My youngest is 3, and we have 1 on the way. I'm 35 years in, and I'm going to have to be doing this for 25 more years at least to be able to pull that train along with me, right?
Yeah.
So I can't keep doing the same thing and just, oh, it's going to be great for 25 more years. I have to kind of pave my way and create my way. And I've always kind of taken what I do and looked at what punk rock did and what hip hop did. In the 70s and 80s, where there was no labels or to support their music and their radio stations to support their music, so they made their own way.
Yeah.
and I have to do that, and you guys have to do that because you know you don't know.
We got kids as well too, so we got to change it up every year or anything, just so we can make that path a little bit easier for them.
Yeah. So what is the future? Are your kids? Are you gonna pass this on to your kids? Or are you thinking maybe that's not the way for them? Or?
I don't think it was ever the plan. My son traveled with me over the summer, and man, every show that I would do, he would bother the shit out of me. He would bug me because he wanted to ride. And no joke, he's rode my Harley Hummer one time, and we were at Born Free in California. Every show he's like, I'm ready. I'm gonna ride the Hummer on the wall. And I'm like, dude, you can barely ride a bike with a clutch. And I'll be damned if he didn't like. I was just like, you know what, whatever. You're probably gonna crash my bike or fall over or something. I was like, but I think I'm ready to just shut you up with this, And he got on my Hummer, man, and he tried his little heart out to ride it. He never fell over either. The clutch is super stiff on these older bikes, and he's only 9, so.
And that was the first bike he ever learned how to ride a clutch on. Was that Harley Hummer.
But so it's like I said, it's not anything that's planned, but I definitely don't think it's not gonna happen. There's gonna be a part where
naturally our kids are just watching us ride.
He already rides in the ball.
Yeah.
So he rides in the ball.
They pick up so much easier from everything that we had to learn how to do. They're watching us and already learning how to perfect something.